Great. We are all set up and ready to go, so let's hit resume. So, hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. So last time we were here, we had just moved to Gleba, where we had all this stuff going on, and it sure is confusing. So we don't really have, like, any resources here. So, let's get some resources brought over. So if I just select this, it'll get a whole giant pile of just sort of whatever it feels like bringing. And that should be most of the things. Alright, let's clear some of this metallurgic science out. We don't need that. So, meanwhile, we're going to have to wait a while for that to load up, and then a little while longer for it to come over here. So in the meantime, we need to work with what we have. So first of all, I think what we need to do is set up some boilers and some steam engines and an offshore pump so that we can get a better power setup than what we currently have. Also, there was a red speck down here. I don't see anything, but yeah, so solar power, probably not practical on this planet, so we're going to use steam power. Now, the good news is that this planet is a giant, horrible swamp, so there's going to be plenty of space for all that. So we have the water, then we have just pop a couple of those guys in, and a couple of these guys. Alright, so those all get hooked up to power, and then we need to get them hooked up to a belt with fuel, and we're going to need a whole bunch of inserters for that. So let's just get a bunch of those crafting. Gosh, starting basically entirely from scratch is not pleasant. So we have those. Now we get the power all hooked up to the inserters. And now all we need is we need to set up this so that it works properly. Cyan, hello. So what we need is, first of all, we need you to filter the seeds and get that going automatically. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Let's see if I do that. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna have to unplug my webcam and plug it back in again. Okay. Now I have to go in here and set it up, and we're good. Alright, cool. Yeah, I don't know. There's some weird thing with my webcam, and also occasionally my mic, where it just sort of stops working sometimes. And you just need to unplug it and plug it back in. Alright, so we have the seeds looping back to there. Then we need to take the spoilage, I think, probably, and bring that over to the other place, which I just realized we're probably going to need We're gonna need a billion landfill for that. So I guess that's something we're gonna need to deal with. For now, let's just ferry some over manually and see how that works. Alright, so that goes in there. And we just need to pop that in. And is this working? No, we need a faster inserter. Wait, that was a long-handled inserter, not a fast inserter. Whoops. Alright, so we need that, and it's probably gonna have more issues, but let's see. Alright, so is this working at all? The power supply here is pretty bad. And in fact, it doesn't even show it as doing anything. So these are... How are you output full? Okay, wait, is it working? It says the steam engine is working, but I guess because we just don't have that much demand for it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So that should be fine. And now we can go back over here. And this is doing its thing. It is planting the occasional new seed, it looks like. So that is happening somewhat. And in the meantime, we have a whole bunch of this junk to deal with. And also, this is nowhere near fast enough. So we need a lot of these guys to keep up with the production. Because if it takes too long, then it'll all spoil before we convert it into this, which would be pretty bad. So, how do we fix that without like a billion landfill? I think the answer is that we just need to make like a billion landfill. So let's go find a stone deposit over here and set up some landfill production. So down we go. And we get an electric mining drill, which for now we're going to have it go across to a belt here, which then is going to feed into an assembly machine, which takes some stuff from there and then gets powered up. Let's just pop like a solar panel in there for now. And that's obviously going to be hilariously low powered. But I don't know if we have the power poles to make it all the way up here. Might. Up we go. Giant power line. And then we can connect it across. Alright, so that is something. And it's currently nighttime, so we're not going to have much power anyways. And also that doesn't connect properly. Alright, so now this is all connected across. And you need to be set to make landfill. So you're outputting 0.75 per second. So we're going to get like basically no landfill out of this, which is a little annoying, but fine. So then let's output the landfill to a box. And let's get some more electric mining drills to keep this going better. Alright, so that is going. Get another one in. And another one in. Although actually that's just too awkwardly placed to be useful. So you go around this way. And you loop up. Alright, we need one landfill. You haven't produced a single oh, you have produced a single landfill. So we can use that to put it there. And there we go. Now we get power across. And that's going to be slightly better. Ever so slightly. Alright, so now we have some landfill production going, so that if we desperately need it, we can do that. Now we can run back here and try to figure out all of this spoilage stuff, bring it down to the steam turbine box. There we go. So that can produce steam power. Okay. Stuff continued to happen on Novice. We need to get way more of this Yumiko mash production. So we need you with a fast inserter. What's happening? What's going on? This corner over here. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Alright, let's just pop in some blueprints to slow those guys down. And if we just do something like that, that should be plenty. Okay, transport platform is filling up with useful stuff. It's going to take quite a while to finish off before it's worth bringing it over, but we're going there. So then you get belt going this way, which then comes across this way, and we need that belt to just go all the way across, and then we need a whole bunch of inserters from it into these, which is not going to be easy, but I guess for now we can just throw some of this stuff in manually. There we go. Alright, now if I remember correctly, the thing we did with this was we somehow converted it into copper. Yeah, we somehow converted it into copper, which we just do in an assembler probably. Alright, we need so much more stuff. Alright, I forgot that I don't have bots active. So we just have to, I guess, set this up manually. And that tree there is very much in the way. So let's get rid of it and place that in. Alright, so then we need to grab the outputs, and we are basically just producing spoilage at this point, which is not ideal. So let's see here. I guess what we have to do is we need to... Okay, hang on just a second. There we go. Just a weirdo on YouTube. Alright, so we need to convert this stuff into copper bacteria or whatever. So I guess step one, is it at all possible to get this stuff out of here? Theoretically, yes, but we need landfill to do it. So let's run down to our landfill production. Down to the landfill production. And we've got 15 of it, which is better than nothing, I guess. So then we can run back up. And where were we? Right, so we were here. And we needed to grab a bit of landfill. And, oh, we need to get rid of all this stuff. Get rid of those. Oh, and that unlocked the heating tower thing because there's a copper stromatolite. Neat. Alright, why does it not want me to put landfill there? Alright, it's fine with it eventually. So then we have that. We need you to curve around this way, go underground again, and wind up over here. Now that we're over here, we can bring this down that way and have the spoilage automatically removed. Alright, so then the last step is we need more iron at this point. This whole area is like all copper basically. So what was that heating tower thing that I unlocked actually? So if we go into here, fire chamber, artificial soil, no, it's none of those. Heating tower generates heat from chemical fuels with very high efficiency, does not stop burning when at maximum temperature, passes heat to connected heat pipes which can be used for steam power or to prevent freezing. Okay, so that's all that stuff. So that's going to be the power that we use here once we have all the basic resources. Alright, let's actually go... We need to craft those, and it's probably going to be easier to craft them over here on Novice and then ferry them over, at least in the short term. So, let's get some assemblers in. And we needed like heat pipes and heat exchangers and steam turbines. So we get a heat pipe, heat exchanger, steam turbine. And then they each get requester chests and inputs and then they get outputs. The outputs are going to be limited. Actually, the heat pipes can be slightly less limited since we might need a fair amount of them. Yeah, let's actually keep all these not too terribly limited. Okay, apparently this is not within drone coverage range, so let's get you in. And then let's get all the power poles in. So you need copper plates, steel plates. Copper plates and steel plates. You need copper plates, steel plates, and pipes. Steel plates, copper plates, and pipes. And you need copper plates, gear wheels, and pipes. Copper plates, gear wheels, and pipes. Alright, so that will be that. And then let's just add those into my list of things that I want to have. Just like a little bit of each of these so that it can also get set up on the platforms. Okay, heat exchangers produce 103 steam. The steam turbines consume not that much steam. So we want actually quite a bit of that. Alright, low density structure done. Very cool. Let's get just steel plate productivity. Just give it something to work on that it'll take a little while to do. Okay, so the next thing we need, right, I keep trying to do stuff before remembering that we have like no iron to do anything with. So I need to go down somewhere that has iron, which I think was this sort of purpley area down south. So let's run down there. Grab some iron stromatolites. Wherever those might be. There they are. So we can grab some of these guys. And run over here, grab some of these guys. Alright, so that should be a decent amount of iron ore in a little bit once we have to get it smelted up and everything. So back up we go to the base. And that should let us do some crafting a little bit more. Alright, so we're back up here. And let's get in some electric furnaces, which we're just gonna feed manually for now. And power on up. So that can get iron smelting, which should be beneficial. So in the meantime, we need so much stuff. How is this going? You are going pretty well. Let's see, what are you missing? Mostly a bunch of stuff which I don't really need. I guess the power would be nice. Are you still launching at a regular pace? Yes, you're launching steam turbines. You are going, but short on low density structures. Has something gone wrong here? Nope, it's just like this. Probably possibly adding the extra steel and copper demand isn't helping. it's probably fine. Alright, it's probably fine. Not much we can do over there, at least for now. So let's pick up these iron plates. So we have a couple of those. Craft up a couple more inserters so that we can actually do stuff. Alright, so we've got all of those. Now we get all of these guys outputting. They go down to here, where we need another line of belts, I guess. Like that. Which... Okay, we need to actually just, I think, take this machine out so that we can use that space for these three. Alright, so then we have the Yumiko mash coming out up here. This is all so incredibly scuffed. Alright, you need to be filtered to only do Yumiko mash. And then we need to get some landfill in here. Probably also maybe dismantle a tree. No, we just need a little bit more landfill. A little more landfill, and then you go in there. And let's craft up some more inserters, because we're going to need it. I cannot wait until the delivery gets here and we can actually just build reasonable stuff. So this, we go copper bacteria. And that takes 2.25 Yumiko mash. And produces not all that much copper bacteria, but it produces some, which is nice. Okay, do we have landfill as one of the things in here? Yes, we do. I think let's set that up to like 300 because we're gonna need a lot of it. Alright, so now we've just run down here, grab some landfill. Alright, down we go, and we grab 29 landfill from there. We're going to need so much landfill, just a constant supply of the stuff. And I think we need like fancy special landfill too at some point. Alright, so now we just go over here, grab some extra space, and then you can output into a box. And we just do that. And hopefully this will work at least a little bit. So we are getting the occasional copper bacteria in here. And the occasional seed, so it looks like this is possibly growing properly. It's hard to tell exactly. Alright, so we need all of those guys working. So this is a very scuffed and not all that functional setup, which does produce a little bit of copper ore. I can't wait until this is set up. So how are you going? We still need a bunch more landfill. And we have some heat pipes, but we don't have heat exchangers or steam turbines just yet. And it looks like the low density structures are still sort of the primary crippling issue here. So is there anything we can do to improve that? Are the low density structures low on anything, or are they just slow? They're not low on steel, they're not low on plastic. They don't look to be low on copper. Although, actually, wait, yes, down here, these ones are indeed low on copper. Alright, so if we can get more copper plate production, then we can improve this. Alright, so let's get that going. So we need the copper ore belt to go across that way. And then we need to... Honestly, can we just copy-paste this entire thing? If we copy-paste all of that, we actually need to go a little bit higher up in order to get it functional. So if we have all of that copy-pasted, and then we just bring that over this way. So this whole area was just a test setup. We don't actually need it to exist. And we can... Actually, we should just get rid of this so that it isn't overlapping all of what we're trying to do. Alright, so that is all set to be demolished. And we're just gonna give it a little minute to do that. Gosh, I forgot how many drones we have. That is quite impressive. Alright, it looks like there's going to have to be another wave, though, and they are coming in over here. There we go. Gosh, watching drones deconstruct stuff is like the most satisfying thing in the world. I could do this all day. Of course, if I did this all day, I wouldn't have anything left to deconstruct, so probably better not. So now we can copy-paste you, pop you in there, and that whole thing now gets built. And then we just need to merge up the belts. So you get that. And then we bring you over here. And then we just have to loop you in. Alright, and just connect the power poles across. We gotta do that. And hopefully that will do it. Although we've broken it in the short term until that splitter gets placed. It looks like it was about to, but the drone left to recharge first. Because of course it did. Alright. Splitter is back in. And now we're just basically waiting on this one power line to get this whole thing functional. Alright, there we go. This whole thing is functional and producing extra copper. Alright, so now we are pretty clearly using all of the copper supplies that we have, which is quite nice, because it means that that is as well as we can do in terms of that. So the copper is definitely not making it all the way through. The copper ore is, though, so that's a big improvement. I'm not sure whether it's backlogging or not, but it is going. And it actually... Okay, so it's definitely limited by the speed of the belts in various places, but it doesn't look like that's completely stopping it. It's getting all the way through anyways, so I think that's just fine. I think we are good with that. Alright, now let's check again. We're still missing a lot of stuff. And apparently we are short on speed modules, which is going to be an issue. I'm sure they'll figure them out eventually. So we've got those, we've got those, we've got these. So I think that is all good. Let's see here. Anything else we want on the transport platform? We've got a whole bunch of belts. We've got a whole bunch of mining drills. I don't know why that's... Some of these are grayed out. Like, why are you like this? Who knows? They should theoretically be available here. Like the turbo transport belts are. Alright, so what else might we want here? We have a whole bunch of stuff. Do we have just like iron and copper plates for basic crafting? Oh, I know what we want. We need a cargo landing bay. So let's get a cargo landing bay added in. And that should be that. Now, if we go back to here, we have a decent chunk of copper, which is stacking a bit weirdly, but I guess that's okay. And then we have this whole system, which is pretty terrible. So the power, solar panels are doing fine. The steam engines aren't producing much because there's not much for them to do. Yeah, I think at this point there's not much we can do on Gleba without it being incredibly slow. So let's try to keep all this stuff working. So now steel might be a problem, although all the machines seem to be running, so maybe not. What's our max production look like, actually? So we have 0.16, 0.2, 0.16, 0.06. It's gonna be difficult to tell, but probably... So this is like 1.5 total demand. This is probably not. I mean, even if we pretend all these are 0.2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So yeah, even if we pretend they're all 0.2, it's barely, and then a lot of them are a lot slower than that. So we definitely don't have quite enough to keep producing round the clock, though ideally we would be able to build up stockpiles and then drain those stockpiles, because we don't technically have to be launching around the clock, but I guess it is what it is. Alright, so that is launching. We have another 2 going off. And they're going to be bringing the heat exchangers. And we're doing pretty well in terms of getting this stuff up here. There's just like a bunch of random stuff. Like the modules. Alright. We have all but the quality modules, it looks like. And the cargo landing bay. So yeah, basically we need the heat exchangers and the cargo landing bay, and then we have basically everything we need. Cargo landing bay and heat exchangers both on their way. Alright. That's nice. I think we're going to send this off now. Because, I mean, we don't need any of those. Off to Gleba you go. And that should be quite helpful to have. Now, how has our landfill production been doing? Because we need so much of that. We need so much of that, we're going to need some of it, a decent amount of it, to be produced on site, otherwise we're just never getting anywhere. We're up to 63, I guess. I guess that's fine. So as far as the techs we have here on Gleba, we have jelly nuts, which we need to unlock to get artificial soil. Biochamber, if we get nutrients, unlocks something weird. And we can turn spoilage into carbon. And the biochamber does something with pentapod eggs. And then we go, yeah, okay, there's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here, as it turns out. So by the time we get to, like, agricultural science, we have, like, a billion other things in this process first. Alright, so the transport platform is making its way over. And hopefully that won't be too long. Is there anything practical that I could do in the meantime? I mean, we have a decent supply of copper, at least. I guess I could set up a furnace, but, like, this is so little. This is hardly any copper, really. Alright, the good news is we seem to be mostly dealing with the Yumiko mash. I guess we would want a fast inserter there, maybe. Not long-handled, but fast. So if you're a fast inserter, then that should get that going faster. And the spoilage does look like it's more or less successfully going out, which is something which we need to keep an eye on, as we do need to constantly be getting rid of everything that turns to spoilage. Novice lost another laser turret. Where is that? Down here on this corner. Okay. You know what? Let's... I'm pretty sure we have artillery here. If I just go self-loading gun, it's a very simple blueprint. Just pop that in there. And add a whole bunch of laser turrets around here. So that should help keep this whole area cleared. It's going to take a long time between shots because it's so far away from everything. But yeah, we do have, I believe, automated ammo production. Yeah, we've got a whole box of it. And we've got a whole box of guns as well. And the transport platform is making its way over. More stuff's getting destroyed. Okay, down at this corner. Well, you just need some annoying walls. I'm so glad that's what I called these. It's such a great name. Alright, so let's put these guys in. Just a giant whole field of them. And there we go. Hopefully that'll be good enough. And that is that. Transport platform is almost at Gleba. We can almost do stuff. We can almost do stuff again. Now, I'm worried that theoretically, this is like a 2% chance to get the seeds, which means we need like 50 Yumiko per seed, which is like the expected resources of one tree. So if we don't use all of the Yumikos, then like it absolutely could wind up having problems. So we can actually click that to do spoiled first. Because as long as it gets through this phase, then it's fine. Because that is the phase which gives us the seeds. Alright, so that is going. And alright, the transport platform is here. So, step 1, give us the cargo landing pad, which is probably going to land somewhere weird, like over this way or something. I think this big area is like approximately starting. Yeah, so there we go. Just saw it touching down over this way. So we can get our cargo landing pad, and then we can set that down somewhere more convenient and use it to build all the rest of the stuff. Okay, so we do actually want to stay in this area over here because it's a lot flatter. Alright, so now we can dump all this junk down, including a whole bunch of logistics bots and drone stuff in case we need it. Okay, looks like we've capped out the ability of the orbital platform to do drops. So that is all coming down. And we just need to keep going with that. And heat pipes and heat exchangers and steam turbines and all these chemical plants and beacons, and we don't need to send lubricant barrels down, probably. Alright. That should be a good chunk of supplies to get properly building with. So, I think step 1 is going to be, actually, how much of this can our inventory store? Nearly all of it. And if we dump out all the random ores, then we can do all of it. Alright, so I think step 1 is going to be the... Let's see. What was that? The heating tower is concrete, boilers, and heat pipes. So this is going to be our source of heat. And let's get a couple of those, probably. So our first thing is going to be a system to get rid of extra spoilage, just so that we don't ever get stuck like that. And it looks like we might need extra space or something. We might need a lot of these to produce, like, to be able to get rid of everything. But I guess we'll see. So now we have our belt running across and inserting into those. Okay, so then those are going to have to be powered up somehow. So that produces heat. And how much heat does it produce? Outputs 40 megawatts of heat each. And these take 10 megawatts each. So for these 3, you would need 12 heat exchangers. So let's first, I guess, run a bit of a heat pipe along there. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 5. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so this is getting to the point where the heat pipes are going to be too long and we're going to waste power, but that's fine, probably. Our main goal here isn't even necessarily power generation, we just want to get rid of the fuel. So these guys output 103 steam each, which means we need each of these guys to have 2. Technically this is slightly more steam turbines than we need, but it's close enough that it's fine. Oh right, I remember this problem now. Right, so we need a power pole like in between them. We don't have enough space otherwise. So we have to do something like this. Get rid of a random plant. Get rid of another random plant. Get rid of another random plant. Okay, we just lost a pipe on Novice. What happened down here? Okay, nothing catastrophically destroyed, but these defenses, it was very close. So let's get more laser turrets in, build that wall out, double that wall up. Alright, that should be good enough. Now we need to connect these pipes across so that the steam can flow through. And then we need to get all of this stuff powered up. Alright, so now these guys are all connected up. And we bring that down to there. And now we have to bring the power across to our existing solar panels. So this power goes over there. So now all of that is powered. And we can take this stuff down. And instead bring this belt over this way. Don't know why we didn't end up bringing turbo underground belts. It seems like that shouldn't have been that hard. Alright, so this goes over here and then in. Alright, so that should, once we get these underground belts in with the express underground belts, which we do have, that should get all that stuff going and be both a fuel source and a way of getting rid of the extra junk. However, I think actually, what we want to do is we want to bring this entire belt just over as far as it'll go. Oh, we have drones now. I forgot that was a thing which I added. So we can bring this along. And now we can take our belt and bring it down here. We really need to get the turbo underground belts just so I can click and drag more easily, although I guess we're about to run out of turbo belts anyways, so it's fine. Alright, so let's just remove those from the hotbar for now and replace them with the blue belts. Alright, so then this goes down here, over this way, and now we are in this relatively clear area where we can do our work. So, step one is we're going to have to belt all these things all the way back, which is going to be annoying, but that's fine. Step one is get the assemblers in for the Yumiko processing. So this goes along like that. You go up like that. Those all get powered up. And then they get connected to the grid. Alright, so we have those. They're going. We don't have enough electricity right now, which is probably fine. So then we output to another belt up there, which goes there. So then we have another row of assemblers, which are going to be making copper bacteria. So we just have that. And then one final belt up here. So those are going to produce both copper bacteria and spoilage. And mostly spoilage, I think. So let's feed all of that into a box. And then we need to get some splitters. Did I not bring any splitters at all? Yeah, okay, that's annoying. Transport platform. You go back to Novice. And you're going to have to bring some splitters next time, if you can manage it. So, I guess what we can do is just use boxes in the meantime. So you are filtered to get spoilage only. And as are you. Okay. Wait, no, because you have multiple outputs, so you actually do need to just be a box that stores everything. So, we need you to have 3 outputs. 1, 2, and 3. So we need one of you to be the Yumiko mash. Actually, wait. So this produces... No, this produces mash and seeds. So you... You actually need to be filtered for both of those. And then we don't need 3 outputs, we only need 2, I think. So this one is going to take the spoilage out, and this one will take the seeds back. Okay. So the power grid is all messed up, which is not at all surprising. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that all the spoilage in the world combines up, and this is going to need to be filtered for spoilage. So then we have this, which is going to come down, combine up with you and with you. And yeah, okay, so there's nothing extra that could possibly get on here. So then this is going to come down and go into the fuel generators. And then when day comes, we'll have solar panels to kickstart some of this. And so yeah, a little bit of the Yumiko mash wound up on those belts, but that's fine. So this needs to be powered. And boy, the power supply is pretty awful. But we are getting spoilage out. And okay, but we need a water pipe. That's what we're missing here. We never hooked that up with water. So let's get offshore pump. Just like there somewhere. And then we just bring that up over to there. Get a couple of underground pipes in for those segments. And now this theoretically should work. Now we need so much more power than we have. So let's get more solar panels in just for the short term. It'll help a little bit. So all these guys go in, and that will make sure that we will at least have decent power supply during the day. Alright, so this is going. And the electricity is still awful. It's still not doing all that much. And these guys take way more fuel than we're giving them, it seems. Because those are 16 megawatts. Meanwhile, the spoilage is much worse than that, probably. Yeah. So yeah, the spoilage is not a super efficient fuel source, it seems. To the point where this probably just isn't working much at all. So we're sort of in a bit of a problem here where we need more spoilage to power everything, but we can't power everything because we don't have the solar power for it. Alright, let's head over here and just get in a nice solid row of solar panels. And Then add in a nice solid second row of solar panels right on top of it. So solar power, not great here, but it seems like it's going to be tough to get anything going without at least some. So let's get all of these guys connected up. And it seems like we might not have enough power pole range for the inner circles. So let's delete some of you guys, replace them with substations. And you. And you. So now that gets hooked up to the power. And that's more like it. And we also have accumulators now. So if I just pop a bunch of these guys in, then that will hopefully help out as well. Alright, so that's going. This is actually receiving spoilage at a decent rate now. So that's pretty cool. Now we need to bring the seeds back. So this belt needs to run over this way and just sort of make its way back over here. And that was doing some weird stuff. Let's make sure that it doesn't. Alright, so the seeds belt is going to go all the way back. And then we just need to feed it in to there. Alright, so that is that. Now your output should probably be a faster belt. Okay, so now the loop back. Are these getting stuck anywhere? No, it looks like they are just going. So that's cool. However, what is not cool is the amount that we need to expand this. Because we are, even with all this, we're nowhere close. And it looks like we are not doing great on power demand as it stands. So what's taking all the power? It's mostly the assembly machines, which... do we have? I guess we could, like, do efficiency modules or something, right? So that could decrease power consumption a lot. I don't really want to do that. I want to just have enough power that it's not an issue. But it seems like that's going to be a bit of an issue. So if we get jelly nuts and we do biochamber to make bioflux is much better power wise, and nutrients are okay. Nutrients aren't energy value. Maybe, I don't know. That's confusing to me. It says yummy value, and I don't know if that means you can. It says power, so maybe you can burn nutrients. I don't know. Let's actually do an experiment with that. So we can make nutrients from spoilage in an assembler. So if we just put you in, and we need to put you in the right spot. I don't know, I was going into my inventory for that when I just have it on the hotbar. So you make nutrients from spoilage. then you just output back onto this belt, and we'll see what happens. Okay, now why is this not doing anything? Seems like all the stuff is coming from over here. Okay. So this is just outputting extra junk from a while ago. So currently all of this stuff is just growing, I guess. So yeah, there's going to be a bit of a delay, I guess. That's fine. Bit of a delay while the plants regrow. Something we're going to have to keep in mind, but not all that much that we can do about it in the meantime. Alright, let's just give you some of that to go normally, and we'll see if these eat that up. No, they don't. They just ignore it. Alright, so nutrients are not something which we want to be making at this exact moment. Okay, yeah, so that's just continuing to output this extra junk. Alright, so that's fine. This is all waiting. I guess we should head over and set up the iron production as well, so that we can have some of both. So we need an agricultural tower, which means we need spoilage, so let's just yoink some of that. Spoilage, check. Landfill, check. Electronic circuits and steel plates are the two things that we need. Alright, so you're back here and you're filling up again. Alright, so this is just doing whatever it does. Yeah, let's just add some crafting materials onto this. So if we could just get a rocket worth of steel and a rocket worth of copper and a rocket worth of iron, that would help out a lot, probably. So in the meantime, let's find, where were those smelters over here? Okay, something crazy is happening at Novice. So let's smelt up some steel so that we can get another agricultural tower. And then we need even more iron plates to get the copper, but we can deal with that once we get there. Alright, so we are doing this again. So that's cool. So this is running. And we still don't have the power production to manage all this, which is pretty terrible. Alright, so how do we resolve that problem? Solar panels aren't a great solution because of the other problems with them. This isn't working because the spoilage is all just immediately getting destroyed. It's clearly not producing more than it's using. So we're going to need to do something about that. Alright, we have everything except the electronic circuits, and we have plenty of copper plates. So I think I'm just going to head on down to the iron section and set up some jelly nuts or whatever. grab some more landfill while we're passing through. Alright, I have substations and I have medium electrical poles. I still haven't ever bothered to bring in larger electrical poles. Alright, let's just bring this power line right down this way. Alright, so this goes across that cliff. And now we are in the iron section. So let's grab some of that. And I just realized I don't have a furnace to smelt this stuff, so I guess we need to head back to smelt up more iron plates. Because we do need to make some green circuits for the agricultural tower thing. Technically, I guess I don't need to. I can smelt up some stone furnaces and do it that way. Let's see here. Where are... Okay, stone furnaces go there. And then you can get powered up with this random wood that I have in my inventory. And then we can grab those and craft us an agricultural tower. And I'll grab the rest of this iron plates. And then let's just take those down. Did I have electric furnaces? Yes, I had a billion electric furnaces. I forgot that I actually have supplies right now. Alright, so we just need to continue bringing the power poles along this way. And here we are. Jelly stem, jelly nut researched, biochamber researched. What does all that even mean? Alright, so jelly nut is just the way of getting to iron bacteria. Biochamber is something which takes pentapod eggs and Yumiko mash and spoilage to produce carbon. Nutrients from Yumiko mash. I still don't know why you would even want nutrients. I guess to make pentapod eggs. So this takes one pentapod eggs and makes multiple, so whatever those are for, I guess that's that. Okay, let's get the agricultural tower placed down somewhere convenient on this little islandy type thing. Alright, so that is in. And it's powered. And then we have the belt coming off of it, which for some reason had a bunch of stone on it. Alright, so this is doing weird stuff, seems, but we do have jelly nuts now. Alright, so we need a second belt to bring the seeds back. So we need to do something like that. And something like this. And I'm kind of surprised we have the landfill to just go across it like that. But apparently we do. And this one is supposed to be going this way, because that's the return belt. Alright, how much landfill do we have? Oh yeah, I forgot we made a ton. Alright, so let's just take this belt out over this way. And then up. And we don't have cliff explosives. I could have sworn we brought cliff explosives. Transport platform. No, apparently we might have to take the transport platform to Vulcanus to get the cliff explosives. Which is a bit of a bummer. So we're just gonna have to work around that. And then we take this back as well. And now we just need to go underground belts to sneak up the cliff like that. And then you are going to need to do something more clever. So you're going to have to like go down this way. And then from here, okay, what's that? Just random nonsense happening. Novice, nothing to worry about. Alright, so that belt goes up there, so that's a success. This belt, we need to bring it, like, up there or something. Yeah, we have to get this right. Ah, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. So you need to go something like that. And then over there. Alright, now I need to find my own way up this cliff. Which... up there. Oh, it's dark now. Oh, I guess my accumulators or whatever have... My personal battery has failed. That's unfortunate. Alright, so we just need this to go up that way. And this to come down this way. And then we need to skip the cliffs a little bit. And then we need to bring these the rest of the way over. But this belt is supposed to be going this way. Okay, we are through the hard part at least. The rest of this should just be like ordinary terrain. So let's just get this all queued up. And up we go. Okay, let's not go straight through a cliff. Let's have you turn a bit early. And whatever that is, I need to get rid of it. Alright, so then this belt is in the right area now. Which means we need to start running the seeds belt back. And we're about to run out of belts. Alright, so that is all the belts we have for now. How is this doing? It's missing a lot of stuff, but mostly less important stuff. I think I'm going to send it over. Like, we have a decent chunk of stuff. I think I'm going to turn that off. It's just so that it doesn't have to deal with all of that nonsense. I can just take over, like, specific things that I request. Although I don't know what exactly I'd be requesting at the moment. Alright, so these guys are... The construction bots are trying to charge. Yeah, which is not going well for them at the moment because of the awful power demands in this on this planet. Alright, so we are just gonna leave that be for now. And yeah, power remains extremely suspect. So, in order to fix the power, we need to do something. Alright, we unlocked all sorts of stuff. We got jelly nut processing, we got iron bacteria, nutrients from Yumiko mash, pentapod eggs, and burnt spoilage. Okay, so is this even useful? We take 6 spoilage, which are... Let's see, so a spoilage is like 250 kilojoules or something. 250 kilojoules. We take 6 of them, and we make carbon. So that is an improvement on the fuel value, although not a big one. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. Alright, how do we do this? So this is going as usual, mostly just producing spoilage, but also producing a bit of copper. And how much copper is this? Theoretically like 0.36 copper. Alright, let's get in a belt for the electric furnaces. That'll be fun. So you need to be filtered to do copper ore only. And then we can just put in a couple of furnaces up there. And that should convert all of the copper into plates. And now we are officially 100% out of belts. So that is that. The transport platform is coming with a resupply. So hopefully it won't be that terrible. Alright, and the Yumiko harvest seems to be depleting again. And stuff continues to happen on Novice. Alright. Yeah, the accumulators are not doing well. We have solar panels still. We still have solar panels. Let's just plop down a mega blueprint. It'll be easier than constantly doing all the little mini expansions. So this is very much a temporary thing. So all this stuff gets placed in, and yeah, we're out of accumulators, we're out of belts, and we're out of all sorts of things, but we do have solar panels. So that is one thing which we can do at least. Alright, we are now out of solar panels. So at this point, it's just a matter of how long it'll take. And yeah, our equipment grid is not up to the task of managing all this. At least we have a lot more ability to actually charge some accumulators now. So that's always a plus. And the drones are continuing to try to charge off of all that. Alright, transport platform is just about here. So let's send down some belts, send down some landfill, and what else do we need? Probably need underground belts. Probably don't want to run out of inserters and all that stuff. Okay, most of the rest of this stuff isn't hugely useful at the moment. It's not useless, but could do a lot more. Alright, so now we have all this stuff dropping in. Let's grab the resupplies. And that's basically everything we urgently need, at least. The power in our personal drone network is so awful. Like, we actually just can't get anything done. Our drones are just perpetually charging. Alright, that guy apparently got stranded too far away from me. Yeah, so the personal drone network not doing great. Also, it's raining now, which I don't know if that's like actually affecting the solar power, but it probably is, knowing my luck. Alright, so the transport platform is here. Have we grabbed everything we could use? Yeah, basically. Back to novice you go. Hopefully we can get something going on. Alright, are the accumulators going to last any semi-reasonable amount of time? No, probably not. Alright, let's see if we can make this work at all. So if we just chop that off and we put this in and a decider combinator, yeah, the power is definitely awful here. So we need to take information about the amount of stuff in the box and then output to that. So you read contents, you get powered on, and then you get set to enable disable if check signal is greater than, no, if the check signal is equal to 1, and then you need to do either, we need to do a latch, so we need to find spoilage in this giant list. So we do spoilage is greater than 300, let's say, or we have spoilage is greater than 0 and check signal equals 1. Output check signal equals 1. Alright, so that should at least let us build up some power. Might want to do some bioengineering. Who needs power? Yeah, we're definitely struggling at the moment. So I think bioflux is like the thing which we might have to do. Maybe. Bacteria cultivation. So if you feed them bioflux, you can multiply bacteria. So that's handy. And then bioflux processing can give us like rocket fuel. So that seems handy. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the plan then. We need to get bioflux, which we need to set up jelly first before we can do anything with that. We need to set up bioflux and then use that to make power production. Alright, so step 1 is we need to get all of these belts placed, which we're going to have to do manually because the drones are all out of whack. So this goes like that. Alright, so that is that half of the belt. And we still need to bring the seeds back at some point, but I guess we'll deal with that later. Alright, so now we have this, and we just need to set up some assembling machines. So the assembly machines go in, and they are going to do jelly nut processing. And there, and there. Oh, hit the wrong button. There we go. So now these can get powered up. And then we take this, we output down to here, and get that all set up. Of course, the drones aren't cooperating, because what is solar power anyway? Alright, so then we take the jelly nuts, we put the jelly into that to make iron bacteria. Excuse me. And then we take the iron bacteria out and we merge them all up. Thank you. And then we put those in a box. And then that box is going to take the spoilage out and put it into this incredibly scuffed, realistically not all that functional system over there. Alright, so now we have that. So we have slightly more of that going out. And then this is... Okay, we are actually getting somewhere in terms of increasing the temperature. So maybe something will happen in there someday. But probably not. Alright, so then our bioflux thing was we needed a biochamber. So that requires a pentapod egg, which I think means I'm going to need to go and fight something, which means I'm going to need to take some iron plates to make ammo. So let's get this in. Filter out iron ore, and then that belt is going to go along here and give us some electric furnaces. Okay, do I have more inserters over here? I do, thank goodness. Give me some of those and some of those. Okay, now we can run back over this way. And we can get some iron plates. This whole process is like hilariously slow and awful. But we have firearm magazine production. So that is That is something. Alright. So we have that. Now we need to, I guess, find a pentapod or something and shoot it and then take its eggs, probably. I assume that's what we have to do. Okay, can you go over there? There we go. So I do not have that much ammo, which is probably going to be an issue. So this is still working, so that's good. I'm just gonna go out and see if I can find something. Like, there's a little red speck over this way. Small egg raft. Alright. What does that even mean? Okay, well let's just shoot and see what happens. Okay, yeah, no, that is unsurprising. Alright. The ammunition I had definitely did not last long enough. So we run. And as long as we can make it back to here, we can grab more ammo. Alright, so that did not work. That definitely did not work at all. And it also seems to not be the way to do it. Is there like a tip or trick or something on here? No, it says nothing about that. Okay, where's I hit the wrong button. Where's the biochamber instructions specifically? Does this say anything? Petapog eggs. No, it doesn't say anything. There's nothing useful. Alright, let's throw some manual iron in there. Oh, and we need to get you in to filter out the spoilage from that step. And we're going to need a similar one to filter out the spoilage from this step. And oh, you also make eggs, right? So you need to also take jelly nut seeds. Then we need an output which only does the spoilage and just merges that down to there. So we did get a couple seeds on that belt. Let's go over and grab them back up. Alright, is this... This doesn't seem to be working properly. Which I don't understand why. Does this happen? Oh, because I didn't latch it into itself, right? So we need to do that. Alright, now we're at the point where we're actually backing up. So this whole system might need bulk inserters there. Alright, so that should be going. And at the very least, we're getting rid of the spoilage in large quantities. Yeah, the fact that the power grid is just awful here is definitely not pleasant. I'd really rather have a functioning power grid. But we have enough ammo. Yeah, we need eggs, and I'm not entirely sure how to get them. not entirely sure how one gets an egg. But I've gathered that shooting it isn't the way. So we're going to try to sneak up on it or something. Alright, I don't see anything in that area. Where might a source of pentapod eggs be? See our little red speck off to the west. So let's head on over there and see what happens. By the way, how is this doing? So it's filled up with a lot of this stuff. And let's see, what else do I want it to bring? I don't know, actually. There's a whole bunch of stuff which I could bring over, but I don't know what is needed. I guess we will save that problem for another time then. Now we run back this way. Alright, so we've got more of these guys up there. Oh. Okay. There's a big guy up there. What do I do with you? Okay. Small strafer pentapod. 800 health. Yeah, I don't think I just physically have enough ammunition to deal with all these guys. Not to mention I don't even know how to get the eggs. Maybe Factoripedia will explain. Alright, Factoripedia. Pentapod eggs. Gathered from Stomper pentapods, looted from egg rafts. Alright. So in theory, that egg raft up there should be what I'm looking for. But I don't know if I can fight it. Do I have a gun turret or the ability to easily craft a gun turret? Because I think those get, like, buffs or something better than the handheld weapons do. So it might be more ammo efficient to go that route. Alright, yeah, so let's do that. We're gonna run back, we're going to grab a gun turret. Let's see, we should have some supply. Oh, okay, no, we don't currently have any meaningful supply of iron plates. So let's throw some in there. And pick all that up. And we just need like 40 iron plates. We need like 40 iron plates in order to craft a gun turret, which will let us not just like egregiously waste ammo using the machine guns or whatever. Alright, gun turret crafted. Alright, and now we confirm that they are gathered from pentapod shells, small egg rafts, and regular egg rafts. So it should work, in theory. Let's make even more ammunition, just to be sure. Okay, so now we run down back over to there. And we get to see what happens when we try to fight some pentapods. Alright, so down we go. Kill all of it and take a look at their aft. Alright, that sounds like a plan to me. So we need to grab gun turret. Oh boy. Here they go. Here they go. Yeah, that's... Alright, he seems to be strafing and just avoiding the gun turret, and there goes all of my ammo, and also I'm definitely gonna die now. Alright, well that didn't go well. Maybe if I blow up some stuff, it'll kill them? Yeah, well this is just terribly unfortunate. I am technically damaging them by destroying boom puffs, but yeah, no, we're doomed. Yeah, okay. So that guy apparently is just immune to gun turrets because he just stays too far away for them to do anything. Yeah, okay. Now they're gonna run around and destroy all of my stuff. So that's not great. That is pretty bad, all things considered. Alright, we run back down. And where are they? There are so many of them. Alright, there we go. That happened. So that... Pretty comfortable calling that a total failure. Like... And this guy is still just chilling there. Oh, cool, now there are multiples. And he's seen me again. Yeah, okay, well this is just completely unworkable. Yeah, okay, so basically we're doomed. So you can't beat them with guns. You can't beat them with gun turrets because they just stand out of range of the gun turrets and destroy them. You can't beat them on foot because they just have way too much health and kill you too easily. And if you even so much as try, then they send a swarm of random little guys who destroy all of your stuff. So basically there's nothing we can do. So that's fun. Alright, so we just need to like find some iron. So if we run down here, we can find some iron and maybe do something with it. And I don't exactly know what we're going to do with the iron, but I guess we can kill the little guys. Although we have starting ammo, I guess we can kill the little guys with the starting ammo. Okay, so that is dealt with. That is dealt with. And now we need to figure out what exactly we're going to do about that in the long term. So we can smelt up more iron to get more ammo in the short term. We have laser turrets, which again runs into the whole not enough power situation. Alright, let's see if I can just like sneak in and grab my corpses and then retreat. I don't see... Okay, the guy is back there. And there's 2 of them. Yeah, so that is an issue. So I can pick up my corpses without them noticing. So that's step 1. Why does it always... It shouldn't be smart enough to just equip the armor. Alright, so step 1 complete. We have our stuff back. However, that is definitely not happening. Maybe there's another small egg pod thing that we can do. Alright, so we need to come up with a better system for dealing with them. Okay, so step 1 is we need to get all this random junk out of my inventory. I just like pop a box down and... Okay, all this jelly nut stuff we need to just put back into this. So I don't know how all of that ended up in my inventory, but don't want to waste it. So there we go. That can do its thing. Alright. So, what can we import from the transport platform? Well, we can import better ammo. So that is something that we can do. And let's see, flamethrower ammo isn't really viable here. Oh, I know what we can do. We can bring in a tank. Alright, so let's get some cannon shells and a tank. So we have one... We have plenty of tanks on planet. We have not that many cannon shells on planet. Alright, I don't need 100. Does the rocket launcher have enough range? I don't know. I feel like the tank should be a viable solution. If we can just get all this stuff up. We are sending 50 cannon shells up and a tank. So this should be better than what we've been doing. Tanks are pretty strong. And tier 2 ammo will also help a little bit, at least. Alright. So the problem is that, like, everything we're doing on Gleba is just so incredibly small scale. Like, the power is bad, the resource production is bad, and we can't fix anything at the moment. Alright, so we have our 50 shells, we have our tank, we have another piercing round magazine. Alright. Let's bring this over. Let's bring all that stuff over, and then hopefully we can get that working. Okay, this input needs to be right up near the edge of the belt in order to use it all properly. And we also need to... I mean, we need to finish that belt, but, like, the enemies are just going to destroy it as soon as I try to do anything. So I think we'll leave that for now. So this is going, it's doing its thing. Okay, so just like I was saying with that other one, you need to be grabbing right from the edge of the belt so that we don't waste any. Alright, so this is all fine. Power is doing fine because we're not exactly using much. So this is just successfully dealing with all of that. And temperature is 185, which is sort of a weird number for it to be. Alright, if we're importing ammunition, we don't need that. So you're coming along. Stuff still gets blown up on Novice every so often, which is probably a result of all these fighters being so insanely close. So let's get... that in. And also a whole bunch more of those. And double wallet. Okay, apparently that could just be triple walled or something. Alright, so hopefully that will deal with that. And then other stuff is going on elsewhere. Alright, let's just run these seeds back to get some of this jelly nut stuff going. So down we go. Let's see if we can make it close enough. Okay, that stuff all goes in. And we need to replace all of those belts. And then sneak up a little bit over to here. And you get plenty of jelly nut seeds so that you can start that process up. And then we run back. Okay, what are all these drones that keep getting destroyed on Novice? Oh, it's this area again. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, let's set up an artillery outpost like here. Just in the middle of all of this stuff. Just get you. Get some walls. Get some laser turrets. And get some power poles. So that should deal with that, assuming that it can withstand the counterattacks, which hopefully it will. Meanwhile, this is almost back at Gleba. And man, the amount of ore production that we can just like trivially produce on a space platform is so great compared to Gleba, which is an absolute mess. Alright, let's run up. We need to pick stuff up out of the cargo landing bay. So now here we are. Did we ever get any solid fuel to show up? No, but we do actually have rocket fuel in here, so that's good. Just no, stop! Don't go back. I don't know why I didn't set it up to stay at Gleba. That's what happened. So you need to go back. Fortunately, I caught it pretty quick. Alright, so now you are just about here. So we're going to launch some of this rocket fuel and the tank ammo. Yeah, that's probably That's probably a good idea. So that should have it be stopped here. Alright, so we get that. We get our tank. We get our 50 shells. And let's get our piercing rounds as well. Alright, so now we just have to get this. Okay, more stuff. This is, I assume, just that same thing. Yep. So this is getting ammo delivered, and it should deal with that problem. So let's get that. Let's get that. Let's get all of those. I have so many random guns. Alright, so let's get our tank built. Actually, do we have repair packs? I might want repair packs. Pretty sure this has some. Yeah, let's give us most of a stack of repair packs as well. And then let's get tank. Give you some cannon ammo. Give you some gun ammo. And where did I put the rocket fuel? Did I not take it out of here? I did not take it out of there. Alright, so we get those. We get our repair packs. So you are fueled up. And in we go. Alright, let's see if this works. Okay, the trees in this place are apparently quite damaging. So that... Oh, sorry about that. Random power line. We need to get to here. Okay. Apparently just every single tree is just taking the bullet for this. Alright, yeah, that's how you do it. Oh boy. Hello? Feels like this gun is not shooting fast enough. And also, I'm not entirely sure what direction I'm even allowed to move. Okay, we are getting there. Alright. Mission success, I guess. Now, I was told there would be loot. Where is the loot? I don't see anything. Was that all just a giant failure? Did I, like, drive... I could have sworn I saw something, and then maybe I drove over it or something. Oh, wait, no. I picked it up automatically. Okay, so we have those. Let's take our tank back. Please, let me get there. Yeah, picking up those repair packs was definitely a good idea. I definitely needed those. Alright, so now we drive back, and driving tank sucks. Let's just get out, pick you up. Okay, so we need to... Yeah, it's not pleasant. Alright, so we need to make a biochamber, which needs nutrients, plates, and circuits. Alright, so we need this to actually produce iron, which doesn't seem like it's doing at any particularly fast rate. So let's grab some iron from there. Bring that back over here to get these going manually. Okay. So we have most things we need. Okay, there. We have everything actually. So I can queue up that crafting and get us a biochamber. Alright, so there we go. And it's crafting now. And then, in order to make these, we need nutrients and water, and then it makes more. Alright, so we have a thing which can produce nutrients over here, I guess. So let's take this belt, bring you down, and we also have water there, so that should be fine. So where did the biochamber go? There it is. So you go there, and you can make all sorts of stuff. Now let's see what this is like, making these. Alright, so first we need to get the water across, which that actually can't do that far because it needs to meet up with another belt. There we go. So then we can take our water down there. Water, check. Nutrients should be check if this were running at all, which it seems like it doesn't especially want to do. So let's get that whole thing powered at least. Do I have just any nutrients on me right now? No. Okay, well let's get another one of these guys in, just in case we have any nutrients at all from that side. And, okay, something is happening on Novice. Okay, this whole area got disconnected from power. That's not good. That is pretty bad, I would say. And obviously the replacements are already queued, so we just have to let them do that, and problem solved. Okay, so that is not ideal. How did they even get back there? Let's place some more laser turrets up there just to cover from that happening. Anyways, back down to this. So you're getting nutrients, and you're getting those. And then we need to also make nutrients from these. This is not at all a practical way of doing this, but whatever. So that then goes over to this way, and then provides the nutrients. And it requires a lot, doesn't it? How much does it require? 30 each? Yeah, that should theoretically not be that bad. Like, in principle, that should be pretty fine compared to how much of this stuff we use. Alright, let's take some of these out, because we do have other things that we need them for, like making more biochambers. So we need more iron plates in order to make more biochambers. That's like the main limiting factor right now. So let's just keep those, get another one. And let's see, this one hasn't, there's been no spoilage there. There's been a ton of spoilage from down there. Okay. So now we can actually make a whole bunch of biochambers. And we're gonna need to make sure not to use all of our pentapod eggs, otherwise we'll have problems. So this needs to like output into itself or something. Alright. How does this even work? Biochamber needs nutrients as fuel and as an ingredient. Alright, so this side of things is producing more spoilage than it's using to make the nutrients. So let's get another one of you set up. Because at this point we just need all the spoilage to go into this. Alright, so now we have a bunch of these guys. And we have a decent chunk of biochambers. So our production is currently extremely cursed, but that's fine. Alright. How do we, like... Because these are going to spoil and they're going to spawn those little guys, right? I guess... If we just, like... Do you have laser turrets on you? No, you don't. I was thinking, like, if we just put, like, a laser turret there, then it's fine, because these are gonna... They're gonna spawn a couple of guys when they spoil. So it would be nice to just be able to, like, laser turret around here to prevent those from going crazy. Speaking of going crazy, what's happening back on Novice? This looks fine. Where are we taking hits? Oh, I see. That's a thing. And so I don't know why you've decided to be the only guy who cares enough about those to go all the way out there. But... Okay, I think what we actually need is if we have... like a laser turret in there, maybe. So yeah, this is too far from the turrets. So we need to like go out to there or so. And get you defended and powered. Alright, that should get dealt with eventually. I don't want that one. Okay, that was a train. Alright, anyways, back to here. These guys are doing their thing, making a whole bunch of pentapod eggs, which I am going to need to do something with at some point. But in the meantime, we have some biochambers, which... Okay, so they can... We can make biochambers in biochambers, apparently. And we can do all these recipes, and I think this is more efficient. Productivity plus 50%, yeah. So then, if we take Yumiko Mash and Jelly, we can make Bioflux, or whatever that's called. So, let's dismantle those. And instead, we take this belt over. And why am I bringing it directly through here? That's such a bad idea. Let's dismantle that and bring you up and over. Alright, and then up to here. So we have Yumiko Mash production in here. We need to disconnect it from that. Bring it out. And make a biochamber. Where are my biochambers? There they are. So you get each of those things. And you get powered. You get set to make bioflux. And then we just need to get some nutrients up here. Which is going to be easier said than done, I think. So we need to... We're going to need to redesign this whole thing so that it's more coherent. But I guess for now we just have you go up here and alright, we've run out of belts. Fortunately we have a long-handled inserter. Alright, do I have more belts that I can grab from here? Yes, I do. Send those down. Might as well send some power poles down as well. And probably some of that other stuff is needed as well, but who knows. Alright, so this whole thing is... Okay, actually, I figured out a more coordinated way of getting the nutrients out at least. So if we have you come up here and then go into there, now any nutrients I get from anywhere will go up to that. And it's just a matter of where we're actually getting the nutrients from. So, like, our main source of nutrients is from spoilage, but it's not the only thing, right? There's nutrients from Yumiko Mash that we can do in another biochamber, which is going to need more nutrients. Alright, so let's do that. Then this belt is going to have to go up to there and get input. And then this is going to need to first of all feed itself, and then second of all feed all that stuff. Alright, this is like the worst thing that I've ever created. What is going on here? So I can do some of this crafting manually, and then maybe that can get this started. Okay, no, wait. All of this stuff is spoiled now. I could have sworn I had a system for getting... Oh, the system I had for getting the spoilage out relies on it being at the very end of the entire thing. So I need to push that up. So you take spoilage up to here, and then that imports down... Why is that belt going backwards? That goes down this way, and it actually just goes onto that, I guess. Alright, so we get some more nutrients up here. How many nutrients does this thing need? Better not be too many. Oh, right. It's that is happening still. And I think actually I just need to... There's a belt missing in there. Alright, so that is now providing nutrients. which can just go around in a circle, I guess. And this is going to be a problem because they're also going to spoil. Alright. So, that's something at least. And then output full. Yeah, that's not surprising. Then we need to find what's going wrong here. Oh, it's probably just that these seeds don't get automatically placed anywhere. So we need these seeds to go back down, and that's what this belt was for. So we put the seeds into there, and we need to have you filtered to be jelly nut seeds only. Alright, then we need to finish this belt, which only went like halfway. So this comes down, and then goes over this way, and then connects into there. Alright, so theoretically now, if I just pop those onto there, they should be able to make it the rest of the way and have some sustainable farming. Okay, so that is going. I thought by putting them in there, then it would be able to. I would not have to go over here to check. But then I realized I have to go over here to check that it's working. And it's a good thing I did because you need an inserter. All right, so that is jelly nut seeds automated. Huzzah! And hopefully that gets working at some point. Alright, we run all the way back up here, which should be fully set up now. And we just have to wait for the jelly nut to show up so that we can get the bioflux, and then we can do some stuff with the bioflux probably, I don't know. Alright, stuff continues to happen on Novice. I wish stuff would stop happening on Novice. We've got that. Are you within range? Yes, you are. Let's wipe that out manually. There we go. So that'll be that. Then we need this. So you need to go under there so that you can output to a box which filters spoilage out this way. And then, yeah, so now all of this stuff is spoiled. So we need to get that sorted out somehow. So this goes over here. And then if it's spoilage, it goes onto this. Alright, spoilage, check. Powered that up, check. Alright, this is a mess. Okay, and I think you need to just be a bulk inserter at this point. Waiting for source items. Oh, I see. So the very first thing on the belt is technically not spoiled yet, which is holding this entire thing up. Well, that's gross. Don't love that. All right, is the jelly starting to work at least? No, doesn't look like it. Alright, we're gonna need to tear this whole thing down and rebuild it, like, pretty soon. Can I just grab some of that so that you can at least be doing something temporarily? Okay, so once this is set up, it theoretically should be fine, because it should just prioritize getting rid of spoilage, and by the time the stuff back here is spoiling, this stuff should have spoiled already, in theory, at least. But it would be real nice if we could just get anything out of this. I don't have radar, so I can't even scan in at a distance. Alright. So what was that thing that I even did to unlock the... what's it called? Artificial soil. By producing 500 nutrients. Right. That makes sense. So then we need to make bioflux to get bacteria cultivation and bioflux processing, which should be, once I get it going, shouldn't be that bad. Okay, so this is being annoying as always. And there's been no sign of any resources from the jelly stuff. We see more of that stuff showing up, so that's cool. Okay. Now, that I expected to happen eventually. So those guys have done their thing. Alright. So at least now I don't have to worry about that ticking time bomb in my inventory, although we do have more of them here, because of course we do. Where is an actually good weapon? There. I wish there was a way of just like destroying these, because I don't want to just have to wait for these to pop and then get all angry. I'm pretty sure I saw that there was a way of, like, recycling them or something. Let's see here. In all these researches, what is there? Agricultural science. All sorts of fancy stuff here. But I could have sworn I saw, like recycling for the eggs or something. Or like a recipe for that somewhere. I don't know where it is though. Alright, can I craft a gun? I need iron for that. Alright, so let's grab some iron, craft a gun turret, and we're just gonna place a gun turret by here. Oh boy, that was fun. Just a little bit sooner than I expected, and a little bit bigger than I expected too. All right, so you get some ammo, and you're just gonna sit there, and then when these things pop, you're gonna shoot them. Cool. Okay, we have jelly. We have the mash, which means we are mere moments away from finally having this work. Alright, bioflux, check. We've researched bacteria cultivation, which is copper bacteria and bioflux to make more copper bacteria, and likewise there. So It's just sort of how we're going to be getting our raw resources, I guess. And then once we get bioflux processing, we can get plastic, rocket fuel, sulfur, and lubricant, which is probably going to be how we get power from this whole system. Alright, there we are. Of course, this also spoils and seems to just take... Alright, bioflux lasts a fairly long time, so that's nice. Meanwhile, something terrible is happening on Novice again. This corner over here. Alright, let's put down another self-loading gun there then. And you guys get extra walls and a couple extra turrets. Alright, so that is fine. Alright, so we have that. And the recipe is bioflux, jelly, and water fuel. So, we have the bioflux, we have the jelly. We just need to bring water up here. And that will make us our rocket fuel, which will hopefully be a bit of a better fuel source for our chemical plant thing, whatever. Alright, so then you need to output down to there. I need to move the power pole a little bit. So you filter to bioflux. And there you are. Then we need to get one of those biochambers. You go in, you take that. You take that. I need two. Do I not have any splitters at all of any type? No, I don't. Okay. Annoying. In that case, let's just move this over a bit so I don't need one. So we just put a biochamber off of there. Feed you jelly. And feed you bioflux. You are going to make rocket fuel from jelly. And you get water. And you all get powered up. And... okay, how do we get this stuff in? Okay, we can have this go down here and then in, and then into there, and then that whole system gets powered up, and theoretically that should make our rocket fuel, which we can output to there. And then we just have a box. Okay, then we need a filter for spoilage only to go into there. And then we have another one for the rocket fuel, which is going to go... okay, no, it's going to go across this way somehow. And you are filtered for rocket fuel. Okay, somehow a whole bunch of junk got on there. So now we can take this belt down. And this is a mess. Alright, so now you can come over here, and then underneath this, you're going to need to be an underground pipe, and you go to there, and then it's entirely possible that this is going to make rocket fuel and power these guys. Yeah, alright. We have rocket fuel in some of them already. Alright. That should be much more effective at getting power. Did this do its thing? Must have. Alright, so now these are all heating up, and we should get power, assuming that this actually works. Which... Okay, so this here, we need to get... How do we do this? We need to get this belt to get rid of all that stuff. This isn't working because there's fresh jelly on it. Of course there's fresh jelly on it. Why would it ever not be like that? Okay, well, what if I just put another one there? Really what would be nice is just to have drones manage a whole lot of the spoilage related stuff. That would be more convenient than doing it this way. Alright, let's just stand there, clear out a bunch of this junk, and then hopefully that should now be more fresh and capable of functioning. But now that that isn't going, did we ever get power off of this? No, but it is still warming up. It is still warming up, but now it's out of fuel, so I think we're doomed. Alright, I think we are probably going to call it there for today. So I need to just, like, spend some time thinking about how we're going to do this, like, in a less awful manner than what we're doing currently, because this is not great. So, I think we're going to call it there for today. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. Yeah, this is a lot trickier than Vulcanus was. A lot trickier. So we're going to have to figure that out. So I'll be doing Satisfactory tomorrow, Factorio on Wednesday, as usual. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to stop by. And yeah, that'll be it. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time.